don't really invite anybody, huh? All right. I'm answering your fantasy questions. I'm going to be on hopefully for a while today. Let's see. Do they actually say they're inviting people? Have fun. Interactions with your viewers in real time. Yeah, see, they don't have that line anymore that says they're inviting people. Hey, Frank. Hey, Joel. Thanks, guys, for joining. Got a big show for you tonight. This morning, I'm on YouTube, Twitch, and TikTok. My TikTok has been very wonky lately. I think there's a video that I put up that they said that I didn't create, but I did. Trade Hunt, not a bad idea, with Pacheco coming back. Moose, very good idea, very good observation. Obviously, if you trade him now, you're going to have to keep him through the weekend or through Monday. Do they play? Yeah, they play Monday night, I believe. So, yeah, that's a great idea. Maybe Monday, start thinking about trading him. Try to trade him to a Yutz that might not realize that his yardage, his interactions, his play will go way down. All right, rate my team. Ask Chris, if I can read. TikTok is really messing with me. They're keeping all of my views really low the last couple of days. So, all right, Daniels, I think is quality. Hall, very, very, he's all over the map. He's very inconsistent. Achan is okay. How are his numbers last game? I can't even remember. With Tua back, I think he had a good game, right? Yeah, Chan did really good. Okay. So hopefully he can keep that up. Mooney, okay. Marvin Harrison Jr., inconsistent. Amon-Ra, I guess, is your flex. MHJ is very inconsistent. Like, I know that he had a good week last week, but then he'll have maybe a bad week or two in a row here. So that's the thing that scares me about MHJ. I think overall your team is pretty good. You probably have... So what you want to do, Jay Chris, and this is the thing I always recommend for people, is you want your quarterback to get 19. Well, you have a 12-man league. So let's just say 18 or over in a 12-man league. You want your quarterback getting 18 or over week in and week out, points that is. You want your running backs and wide receivers, probably not 13, but you probably want at least 12 maybe from them, maybe dip down to 11 every week. So I guess Hall wouldn't be that bad, and MHJ might not be that bad, although MHJ, when he has a bad game, it's like 3 points. Let's look up Hawkinson. I haven't looked at him a lot, so I don't know his numbers. And see, unlike everybody else on TikTok, or a lot of the people on TikTok, I'm actually looking up the data. I was listening to a guy today that couldn't tell you the 5 best running backs in the NFL this year. I mean, he couldn't even say Derrick Henry's number 1. He couldn't even say that. Well, by far, Derrick Henry's number 1. He just said, I'm not going to answer that question. Or I'm not going to take the time for that. It doesn't take any time. It's Derrick Henry. I mean, without looking, my guess would be it's Derrick Henry. Kyron Williams is up there. Obviously, Saquon is probably, I think he's 3 technically. I actually think Alvin Kamara for the year is number 2. Saquon is 3, not Saquon. There's another guy on TikTok that constantly calls him Saquon, doesn't know his name. He mispronounces everybody's name wrong. But Kamara is 2, Saquon is 3, and then, like, there's a ton of other people. It's probably Mixon, he's played enough. Walker's missed a bunch of games, so he's not going to be up there. Kyron Williams is probably in the top 5. I mean, he couldn't say that. Now, I could look it up and tell you what it is, but that defeats the purpose of what I'm trying to say. I know 4 of the 5 probably off the top of my head. These guys on TikTok, they make me mad. You can ask my wife. I yell at my phone when I'm watching it. They don't know. I'm telling you right now, at least 5. I'm trying to be nice. 5 out of 10. It's probably more like 8 out of 10. Don't know what they're doing. They don't look it up. They just give you an answer on who they think is the better player. And it's awful. You got to watch the information you're getting. I heard someone today say, that Waddle was putting up better numbers than Devontae Smith. Okay, Devontae Smith 2 weeks ago, I don't think had a great game, but I want to say last week had a fantastic game. And if you look at TikTok, my numbers are really low. TikTok is annoyed with me because I posted my own video, but they're saying that I copied someone's content, which I didn't do at all. It's because it's a horizontal video and they like verticals. And I appealed it, but they're taking forever to hear my appeal. And once I get my appeal, it'll be overturned like they always do to me. All right. But Hawkinson will look up. Let me see. That was just my little soapbox. I'm sorry to do that to y'all. I know nobody really cares about my problems. I get it. So you're talking about TJ Hawkinson, who hasn't played a game? Is that what you're talking about? I mean, I guess he's fine. I don't have any analytics to say that, oh, this is going to be his game. Now, the thing about it is, luckily, the Vikings are playing the Indianapolis Colts, and they don't have a great defense. So you should get some points from them that way. So that's fantastic. I'm not bullish on him. I'm not against him. I just think that he's coming back from obviously a knee injury. So, is he going to have rust? Yeah, he's probably going to have rust. Is he going to have a lot of rust? I don't know. And is he going to be up to game speed? Maybe, maybe not. So that's the one question mark that I would have. Like, okay, Hawkinson, let's see how he does in this game, and we can move from there. Amon-Ra is great. He's one of the top. If he's not in the top 5, he's at least in the top 10 of wide receivers, probably in the top 5. Very consistent. He might have had one. Did he have? Was his last game kind of bad or not up to his sort of? Yeah, he had 7, but before that he had 21, 11. That's a little bit low. 17, 17, 17. I mean, this guy, he's like a poster child for continuity. Hey, I have 17 people, 18 people. That's the most I've had in 2 days because of TikTok's annoying violation of original content video that they said. That's a video that, I mean, look at every video I have on my channel. Every single one I made. I edited it. I wrote the script. In many cases, outside of the early ones, I voiced them all. But it's because it's a horizontal video that's over a minute, and they always flag those. All right. TikTok shop items to buy. Prescott or Knicks? Everybody loves Prescott. They still love Prescott, okay? And he's had some good weeks. He's very inconsistent. They don't have much of a an offense to begin with. I mean, his last 4 weeks, 16, 18, 5, 15. So he's 18's okay, but the 3 of the 4 weeks he hasn't even hit 18 and a half or 19 points, which is what I tell everybody they need for a 10-team league. You want to have 18 or over points, or really I try to say 19 or over points for a quarterback. Wide receivers and running backs are always 13 or higher. Tight end 7 or higher. Defense and kicker, you want 10 or higher. If you do that, if you have those types of players week in and week out, you're going to win. Okay. You may not win every week. You might be 5-3, you might be 4-4, you could be 7-1. It sort of depends of, do you have a guy that has 43 points, or does the other team have a guy that goes for 43 points? And then it kind of skews what you would normally do. But they're going against Atlanta. You can throw against Atlanta. Let's just look at Atlanta's pass. The Falcons' pass defense is 18. And Bo Nix goes against Denver. I should know this. I never remember these things. It's not that they're not important. Okay, you can throw against Baltimore. I would go with Bo Nix because Baltimore's pass defense is the worst in the NFL. Yes, that's right. I mean, I know that sounds crazy compared to many years ago where they were the best ever, but all right. So yeah, I would go with Bo Nix based on the matchup because they are playing Baltimore and they're the worst passing defense. They give up the most yards per game passing. Baltimore Ravens. Okay, MJ, Michael Jordan, I guess. Hey, your Ernest, thanks for watching. He says trade or hold Puka. Well, I mean, if you think you can get somebody that you need for Puka right now, why wait? However, I would say my other concern is, are people really going to trade for Puka right now? Because outside of one game, which he had a great game. He had like over 100 yards receiving, and he did fantastic. But, somebody willing to trade at that point, they might want a little bit more. So that would be the one caveat. But if you feel like you can trade him, offer him up and just see what the market says. I mean, part of it is what the market will take, who you can get, who you cannot get. Nathaniel, thanks for watching. Football or Nick, thanks. We're talking all fantasy. Okay, Defro on YouTube. Hold you. You got, if you can spell some of those names, I think you mean Brees Hall, but yeah. So if you think you can get something for him, put them out there. It's like eBay. If you do an auction on eBay and you get $7 for something that's valued at 23, it kind of tells you that the market really isn't at $23. It's really at $7. It's what the market bears. If you're selling a house and your house goes for your asking price, or if it goes over your asking price, it's what the market will bear. And that's the same way with trades. Now, sometimes there are exceptions, because some owners are less likely to trade than others. Some are more skeptical. Some don't like trading. Some want the best deals possible. They want all your A+ guys for their one A+ guy, but I would put them out there. All right. Defro, like ha, Gaya, J.I. Chalta, Hun, okay, bye. Okay. So you're saying bye. All right. Let's go. Vinny, not fantasy related, but I need help for Survivor. Who are your locks for this week? Is that where you pick a team and you know that they're going to win? Is that it? Like, it's straight up without the points kind of thing, or you play with the points and who's going to win? I'll try to tell you I would say that Minnesota beats the Colts. Well, but they have Flacco playing, don't they? Let me think about that. Wow. There isn't really necessarily one clear. Detroit, Green Bay, I'm not going to pick. Arizona, Chicago, no. Okay, Philadelphia, Jacksonville. I believe that Philadelphia will beat Jacksonville. If that's what you mean by Survivor. I think I played on one of those like 20 years ago, and it was like you either picked with or without the spread, but you picked one team a week and you just keep going. And my guess, if that's what you're doing, Vinny, and I can look in the chat and see if that is what you're doing, but lots of tough matchup. I would say, yeah, and you can only use the team once. I would say Philadelphia is a good one to pick if you haven't picked them. I think Philadelphia is going to beat Jacksonville. I think Jacksonville's very bad. I think Philadelphia obviously has Saquon. They have A.J. Brown. They have Devontae Smith, or as someone on TikTok says, Devonta Smith, because he just doesn't know the names. He doesn't watch the games. He doesn't follow the sport. He just looks at numbers and he gives you picks and he makes up all of his answers. And that's what I want you guys to avoid. And I would say Minnesota and Indianapolis might be a close second, but I think Philadelphia would be the one that has a clear shot of winning, because Carolina and New Orleans, but you could say New Orleans because they also have Derek Carr back, and Carolina's starting Bryce Young, and Bryce Young I don't think could win a rigged contest, if you get my drift. All right, you're going with the Eagles then. I just kept talking. Is it Taysom Hill week? Well, let's look. That's a name that I really don't look up a lot. Hey, look, I have 16 people. That's the most I've had in like 2 days. So I appreciate y'all. Since as I'm keep complaining, I know it's not your problem. TikTok has sort of shadow, or I don't want to say that, but I put up a video that I made, and they're saying that it violates their originality content. I think because it's horizontal, they think I probably stole it from I didn't make a vertical video. It's a Taysom Hill week. Is he starting? I mean, I just don't know that. I mean, obviously they played Carolina, but there's not much that says that he's going to have, put up a good amount of points for you. I mean, there's a lot of other tight ends that, there's Njoku, there's Bowers, Andrews has been having great weeks. Otten is off the charts, great for Tampa Bay. I know someone was asking about some player in Otten. I really like Otten. He had 24 points last week. Like Taysom Hill, does it intrigue you that he's listed, at least in my league, as quarterback and tight end? Is that why you might go that direction? I mean, there just isn't anything that tells me that you should start him. What? I mean, he's rushing more, but his play seems very limited. He had 2 touchdowns in week 4 against Atlanta, but they're playing Carolina. Carolina's worse than Atlanta. So you might be thinking that way. Maybe he gets short yardage, but those short yardage guys are kind of tough. You have to have short yardage for him to score a touchdown, if that makes sense. Like, they have to be on the 1 or 2 yard line for him to get the ball. They can't have long pass plays. They can't have long run plays. And it could be, I mean, I can't pinpoint that game without going and boring everyone. And you can send me a direct DM on TikTok if you have any follow-up questions. I will answer that. I'm very happy with that. I know that that's what a lot of people do with their subscribers, but I'm very happy to do that for you. So I don't think it's a Taysom Hill week. I just think there's other tight ends that you could start that probably are still even out there. There's a lot that have sort of cropped up. I mean, Kelsey even had a good week last week, so you can pick somebody up probably. Okay, Colby, Bills defense or Lions defense? Well, you see on the, I didn't put it on the screen, guys. I'm sorry. I had the overall defense. Bills or Lions? Bills are 16, Lions are 20. But the Bills play. See, I don't remember any of this stuff. Bills play Miami. Miami's offense is going to be pretty good. Tua is still around. The Lions have Green Bay. I know they have Green Bay, but that's the one that I remember. Green Bay or Detroit has they both have good offenses. Now, the passing with Green Bay is big because they pass to a lot of different players, and I think Love, it looks like he will play. So let's look at the Packers. I'm looking at the Packers pass defense. Or you're saying the Lions defense. The Lions pass defense is 27th out of 32, rather. That's not a great. It's not a great number. The Packers, was it? You said the Lions or the, okay. See, I'm reading all these names. I'm still thinking about TikTok. I had 38 people there for a while, and then everybody went away. I was shocked that I had 38 people considering what I'd been doing. Who were the 2 teams? Vinny, if you're there, I'm going to check on that. Let me look and make sure Carr's starting. It was the Lions. Oh, and I know who it was. Hold on. It was the Lions, and it was, what, Buffalo? Lions defense. Lions pass defense isn't good, so that's not a good matchup against Green Bay because they like to throw the ball. So I don't like that. I'm just trying to remember who the other defense was. Vinny, let me see if we know. Carr might still be listed as questionable. I know he was yesterday. I looked this up yesterday, but sometimes they do. Oh, He's not questionable at all anymore. He was removed. Oh, why didn't I see this? At 2:30 yesterday, or I guess 3:30 because I'm Central Time, he was removed from the injury report. So Derek Carr will play tomorrow. So yes, Vinny. Okay. I'm still trying to figure out Otten or Madison. I would go Otten. Madison, I don't love the offense there. I think that they'll have smash mouth football, but come on. You know, he had 15-13, then 6 against Kansas City. It's hard to run against Kansas City. He could have a good showing against Cincinnati.
I didn't get that. Could you?
I don't know why Siri always interrupts me, but I like Otten because tight ends get good points against the Chiefs, and he's the number one target for Patrick Mahomes. All right, well, I'm going to jump on YouTube real quick, guys, since we don't have any GIFs on TikTok. Good Googly, would you start Charbonneau or Demario Douglas if Drake May plays? Half PPR. So you're saying Demario Douglas. Let's see here. And if I don't answer your questions, feel free on TikTok to find me and send me. It was yeah, I don't think Douglas is a good play this week. He had a concussion, but he's had 2 points and 2 points the last 2 weeks. Highly inconsistent, and you definitely don't want to get 2 points in any league. That's not even close. Like, even in a 14-team league, you don't want that. So good googly. Hey, Nathaniel's back on YouTube. I guess you go with Charbonneau, although he's a backup. And is he going to get any playing time? Is there some reason I should think that he'll get playing time over Walker? Charbonneau rushed 3 times. Charbonneau handled 22. Charbonneau has been quite inefficient this year. Neither one's a really good pick because I believe Walker's healthy. Let me double check on that since I'm throwing that out there. But I know Walker's healthy. So, yeah, he's healthy. So he's going to play. So, I mean, Charbonneau, both of them might not get any points. Do you have any other options? Or is there someone maybe you could pick up for Charbonneau since we know? Well, Charbonneau got, I guess, 9 points last week because he scored a touchdown. So, but the week before he got 1.4, highly inconsistent with very low numbers. You know, his ceiling in the last 5 weeks is only 9.9. I don't love that. That's, I mean, if you want to go with Demario Douglas, if Drake May plays, fine. I don't love that pick at all. And Charbonneau's a backup. I can't guarantee that he's going to have a touchdown this week like he did last week. He carried 3 times for 4 yards and 1 touchdown. Again, like I said, if he's a short yardage rusher, like at the goal line, how many times are they going to get that chance a game? Maybe once, maybe twice if they're really good. And, you know, who's to say that he's going to make it in or they don't, you know, pass to the tight end or Walker doesn't stay in for that play. So it's real iffy for that. And for that reason, I would maybe consider seeing what's out on the waiver wire if you can pick somebody up today. You know, somebody that might net you at least 10 points or has over the last 3 weeks. All right, let's go back to TikTok. Sorry about that, good googly. I know that's probably not what you wanted to hear, but okay, Ramon Cabello. Should I play Waddle, Deontay, or Coleman? I would go Coleman, and here's why. Deontay's numbers, he's with Baltimore. He's with a good team. They have a good record. They pass, all that kind of good stuff. But he's not filling in a position. It's not like Hopkins is with Rashee Rice, okay? So he's just taking away catches from other players. So that means nobody like there's a possibility that everybody will, all the receivers will have like 8 points or 11 points, and they won't get to that magic 13 point that I keep talking about in a 10-team league. Now Waddle played last week, and while I keep hearing everybody recommend Waddle and stuff, I'm not really high on Waddle. I mean, they had a team last week. Buffalo, I think, is getting a lot tougher. Waddle had 6.5 points. How can you pick Waddle over, like this guy on TikTok picked Waddle over Dobbs in Green Bay, and Dobbs is, I'm pretty sure, been over 13 the last 2 weeks, and Waddle just had 6 points. Statistically speaking, well, he's had 8.7, 13, and 18 the last 3 weeks. That's Dobbs. He's had better weeks than Waddle. Now, Waddle could have 13 points this week, but there's nothing in his numbers right now. And last week, because he only had 6.5, okay, if he scored a touchdown, that would be, 12.5. So he might get 12.5, but I can't guarantee that he's going to be anything better than that, if you understand that. And that's why I would go with Dobbs, because Green Bay passes the ball very well. And the Lions, as I mentioned, are 27th out of 32 in passing. Okay, good googly. Slayton Isavash on waivers. Oh, it's a 16-team league. Oy vey. Okay, that's why I jumped back to YouTube real quick, and my man good googly. So let me look up Raymond first. Oh yeah, you don't have much to pick from. Here's the thing with Raymond, though. You can run on Green Bay. In the last 2 weeks, he's had 14 and 11 points. So he's trending in the right direction, good googly. So you might want to, and like with Demario Douglas, you might not want to dump him, okay? Because then you can't get him back for a while, or it's going to be hard, or someone else might catch him if he has a good week. But I would say get rid of Charbonneau, pick up Khalif Raymond, who's had at least 11 points the last 2 weeks, and the week before that, he had 9. Okay, so against Minnesota, who was a very good defense until they started doing bad the last 2 weeks, but he had 11, and against Tennessee, which actually on YouTube I posted it, they're number 1 in total, the lowest number of yards allowed per game. So he's had, it's really, his numbers are predicated on him getting touchdowns, but he's gotten a touchdown in each of the last 2 weeks, and when he got 9 points, he had 73 yards. So I would go with Khalif Raymond. I would drop Charbonneau. That would be my recommendation, and then I would start Raymond, in the flex, I think you said. He only had 2 receptions. I don't know how that all plays into what you have, but he had 3 receptions, 4 receptions before that, but at least he can get you some points from that vantage point. And he got you a touchdown, and I'm assuming you still get good points for that. All right. Let me jump back. Oh, Ramon Cabello. So Waddle, I'm not high on. Deontay isn't. I would go with Coleman. The last 2 weeks, Coleman has been over 14 points. I think he had 14 and 15 respectfully. So I would go with Keon Coleman. Now they go up against Miami. Miami's a pretty good defensive team, actually. Let's just see what the Dolphins. They're number 4 in passing with 176. He might not get 14, but my guess is he'll probably be right at the numbers, or if not a little bit better than Waddle and Deontay. Now, so I would see Coleman is somewhat of a steady pick. You might want to go with Waddle if you think, with Tua back and Tyreek there and stuff, that he might get some attention. Deontay's an unknown, so I wouldn't recommend that. So I would go Coleman is more of a steady. Waddle, you could pick if you want to take a little bit more of a risk. He hasn't shown me when Tua was around that he'll get double digits, but there's an outside chance that he may. So Nathaniel says Taylor or Walker. I think, let's look. Who's Taylor playing? Oh, I just said it. They're playing Minnesota. Minnesota's rush defense, the Vikings' rush defense is number 3. So that's not a great matchup. Walker, though, Seattle plays Los Angeles Rams, run defense is 23. So I would go Walker just based on the matchups, Nathaniel. I'll try to get your Kelsey or Bowers. I would go Kelsey or Bowers. I'm leaning towards Kelsey because it showed he had a good game. I can't get to all of your questions right now, Nathaniel. You can always text me. You know, you got my number. But real quick, I would probably go with Kelsey, although Bowers plays the Raiders, play Cincinnati. He could have a big game. What has Bowers been doing? Real quick, what has Bowers been doing? Yeah, Bowers, 4 weeks, 19-11, 14-8. Kelsey had a bigger game. I would maybe go with Kelsey because it's showing me that he's more involved with the offense even after D. Hopkins joined. Now, Bowers was having some good weeks. He's still having over 7 points, and in a 10-team league, that's what you want. But the way I look at it is, and thank you all for the likes. Don't forget to like whatever, whether you're on YouTube or not, or you're on TikTok, don't forget to hit like. Definitely hit that subscribe button if you're on YouTube. Hit that follow button on TikTok. But I would go Kelsey over Bowers just because I don't think Minshew, the quarterback, is a very good passer. All right, let's jump back to TikTok. Yeah, I think Ramon. I would go with Coleman. Okay, let's see. I'm just going towards the end here. Some freebies. Anybody follow me that I should answer their questions? I know I just don't have enough people to get any gifts, which is great because TikTok has sort of put me into the penalty box because they have a video. Tony Flowers has spammed me, so I'm avoiding you. Spamming doesn't get you red here. It just gets me annoyed. Okay, will Otten be the top receiver for the Bucs? Should I put in Dottle for Pitts, Otten, or McConkey? Well, Dylan, here's the thing. I mean, I think Otten will still be the number one receiver for the Bucs. I mean, obviously he's a tight end, but he had 24 points. Now they go up against the Chiefs. You can't run against the Chiefs, but you can pass against the Chiefs, and that's why I think Otten will still have value. And a tight end is kind of like a quarterback's best friend. Now, Dottle has been all over the map. 3 weeks ago, I was saying that he's going to be the number one. He's someone to look out for the Cowboys. And then they kind of pulled the reins back on his activity. Pitts is a good play. The thing about McConkey, like if you take McConkey versus Otten, McConkey is all over the map. 1 week he'll have 25 points. 1 week he'll have 7. And that's what I don't like about McConkey. And he's not consistent. At least Otten, he's going to get the bulk, or he's going to get a large chunk of the passes from Baker Mayfield. And that's why I really like Otten going into this week, even though they're playing the Chiefs. Again, you can pass on the Chiefs, like not skip them over. You can, throw the ball on the Chiefs. They're 17 out of 32. They average 212 yards passing per game. And they've given up 9 touchdowns, which is kind of middling. It's not like the highest number, but it's not low either. I would say like 7 or 8 are low. So yeah, I think you can start Otten safely. Dottle worries me. Pitts has been coming on. He's one of those guys, but I just don't know that he's been as consistent, if you will. No problem. Good Googly. Thank you for watching. And don't forget to subscribe so you know when I'm on. But let me look up Pitts real quick. I'm all over the map. I have 2 computers because TikTok isn't compatible with a Mac, and it's really annoying. I mean, he had 23 points, 10 points, 8.5, 12. So the last 4 weeks, Kyle Pitts has been doing what he needs to do. He's been getting over 7 points, and in a 10-team league, that's what you want. So I totally understand that. He had 2 touchdowns last week. Now, I can't ever predict that someone's going to do something like that because his only other touchdown of the year came in week 1. So very inconsistent when it comes to touchdowns, but consistent with getting over 7 points, which is what you want in a 10-team league for a tight end. They go up against Dallas, so he will put up points. If you fear Otten, if you have any reservations about Otten, I would put Pitts in then. I think Otten is a safe and a wise choice, but if you fear like, oh, Kansas City's going to be all over Mayfield, well, remember, Mayfield has nice legs, not in that way, but he can run is what I mean. So that really came out oddly, but then you can go with Pitts because he is a favorable matchup against Dallas, who, their defense is not very good. All right, I hope I helped with that one. No new questions right now. And yes, Nathaniel, I know I didn't get to all yours, but I can't get to all of yours. And you can just send me a text. All right. Ron 3835, Taylor or Walker? Wait, did I just answer that? Yeah, Taylor or Walker. Walker because of the matchup. Seattle goes, see, I just forgot. Seattle goes up against the Rams. The Rams are a lot worse in run defense, and so the matchup favors Walker. Taylor goes up against Minnesota. Minnesota is actually very good against the run. That might hurt his numbers. While here's the thing. On TikTok, a lot of people who do this, who talk fantasy sports, they would see Taylor and Walker, and probably, I don't know, 8 out of 10 would say Taylor. Okay, I'm just going to tell you sort of the way I see it. They're not going to look at anything. They're just going to say to themselves, well, Taylor's a better running back. He's a better running back than Walker. He is. I think that he's probably skill-wise a better running back than Walker. However, Walker has a much better matchup. That's what makes my TikTok, my YouTube, much different than most others that you see, especially on TikTok, where they just pick a name out of a hat, kind of. And it's like, even when you put $1 in a machine and you're trying to get a soda, it takes 5 to 10 seconds for the soda to come out of the machine. They have to process it. These guys aren't even processing your questions. Good googly, 10-team PPR, Marvin Harrison, David Montgomery, or Brian Thomas. Pick one. Well, I would pick David Montgomery. Number one, he's a machine. He puts up 15 points every week, and he gets the ball constantly. And then Brian Thomas would be my number two. I would actually have Montgomery over all of them because I always like running backs over everyone. And Marvin Harrison had a good last week, and everybody loves Marvin Harrison. I don't hate Marvin Harrison, okay? I just want to make that very, 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 very clear. I don't hate Marvin Harrison. He's very inconsistent. He had a very good week, but if you look at the weeks before that, and you even take out where he had like 2 points because he was concussed, he was putting up 3 points, he was putting up 4 points. What's going on? Okay, we're into week 9 now. Why is there such a roller coaster with his points? That's what I want to know. Okay, I like Marvin Harrison. He's on one of my teams. He was on 2 of my teams. I dumped him because I couldn't take the inconsistency anymore. Probably somebody picked him up, and good for them. But honestly, I have a good receiving core, so I'm not really worried about it. That's much more consistent. So I think I have Brian Thomas on that team. All right, let's go with randos. Anybody, don't forget on TikTok, follow me on YouTube, subscribe to me so you know when I'm on. I usually, the last couple Sundays, I haven't gone live because my numbers have been way down, and my TikTok numbers the last couple days have been down because one of my videos that I created, they say I copied from someone, but you can look at all my videos on my channel. None of them have been copied. I make them all. Most of them are my voice, but so I guess they're not sharing my my live on TikTok anymore. So my numbers are way down. So I just got to wait until they rule on my appeal, which kind of sucks. Every once in a while, I've noticed my TikTok will go above 10, or every once in a while go above 30, and then it'll dip down around 8. I didn't get 8 TikToks for like 3 weeks before this, so we'll see. All right. Glenn D, DJ Moore is worse. I don't know who you're saying. DJ Moore, Yeah, he's inconsistent. His last 2 weeks, what do you have? 4 points each week. See, those are the kinds of things that other TikTokers should know. It's not a gut feeling. Know the numbers. The numbers tell the story. Look, CeeDee Lamb is a tremendous wide receiver. Okay. There's no doubt about it. Has talent, all of those kinds of things. He's not the best wide receiver. He may not even be the best top 3 wide receivers in the NFL. I mean, Nico Collins, before he got injured, was number 1. Justin Jefferson doesn't put up he puts up a lot of yards. I guess I should say that. But there are other people who, other wide receivers. I'm trying to think actually. Justin Jefferson, Stephon Diggs has gotten hurt. Let's see. A lot of guys have gotten hurt. Deontay Johnson wasn't putting up bad numbers, but like CeeDee Lamb. Okay, let me just humor me for a second. We don't have any gifters. We have no new questions. On the Sideline Fans hat I created, I was going to start selling swag. I might, but hats are really expensive in small orders. Like this hat cost me $45 for one, and it's like, if I order 10, they might go down to like $39 each. It's like I can't sell those to people. So I'm working on shirts. I want to get the right material though. And they're black and white like this. I don't use the colors in those. I don't know why. But anyway, okay. Let me just look up, let me just do something for everybody real quick on wide receivers, okay? We're going to do wide receivers. We're going to do everybody, all players, wide receivers, and we're just going to say the last 4 weeks. We're not going to say the whole season, okay? So get this, all right? The last 4 weeks, which if you think about it, okay, tells you sort of where we're at now. Like week 1, week 2, a lot of those people like Kamara, like Alvin Kamara, had 43 points in week 2, and now he's nothing. Quez, the scope god, I would go with Tillman definitely. He's the number 1 in Cleveland. Addison is highly inconsistent and not putting up good numbers. I know Bob is not on, but my buddy Bob, who I talk to all the time on TikTok, he has Addison, and Addison ruined his week last week because all he needed was like 1 catch or something. I mean, he had 3 points, 8 points, 5 points. Addison is highly inconsistent. You got to go with Tillman. And Tillman's a great little surprise that came out of last week. Okay. But if we look at wide receivers, number 1 in the last 4 weeks for wide receivers, guys, Garrett Wilson. Nobody would have picked that in the last 4 weeks. Nobody would have picked Garrett Wilson. He slowly gets double digits week in and week out. Number 2, now here's a familiar name, Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase, you would have think. Number 3, another name. Some of you might have, hey, Quez the Scope, thank you very much. Appreciate the roses. Let me know if you have any other questions on that. But yeah, definitely Tillman on between the two. Tillman's putting up good numbers. He's the number 1 in Cleveland. He's working well with Jameis Winston. Addison is just not very good right now. He's not consistent. That doesn't mean this week maybe he'll get 13. Next week he'll get 13. And then I can say, oh, yeah, you can play Addison because he's showing me through his numbers that he's putting up points. But in the wide receivers, Garrett Wilson has 93 points in the last 4 weeks. Chase, 77. Drake London, 64. Scary Terry McLaurin, I don't know why they call him that exactly, 59.5. Brian Thomas, 58. Darnell Mooney, 56. CeeDee Lamb, 54. T. Higgins, 52. Zay Flowers, 51. And then Chris Godwin, who's obviously on IR, 49. A.J. Brown, 48. Where's Justin Jefferson? Obviously, Jade Reed's not in there. Stephon Diggs wasn't even in there, and he got hurt last week. What I'm saying is you would be surprised to see during the season where this takes you. Yes, maybe overall there's, CeeDee Lamb is a number 2 guy, but here CeeDee Lamb he's the 7th most points in the last 4 weeks. He's had the 7th most points. What are you going to do? All right. Let's look at my good friends over at TikTok. Quez, you know that I answered that, right? It's Tillman. All right. I'm just going to pick up Glenn D here. Damn, I got Harrison and Moore. I can also use Madison or Bigsby. All of them are not great. You're right. Harrison, though, I would start over Moore because Harrison at least had a good week last week, and you figured that there might be momentum. And if you look at his weeks like 2, 3, and 4, he was in double digits for those weeks. So he might be, or maybe as a rookie, he's a little streaky, if you will. So maybe he can get you a good amount of points. Now, when it comes to running backs, Bigsby is wildly inconsistent. Madison, I just looked him up. I swear to God, I can't remember that. When you're dealing with numbers all the time, I get very confused on numbers. And for whatever reason, I always get Javonte Williams and Alexander Madison confused. I always think Javonte Williams is playing with Vegas. I don't know why that is. But if you look at Madison, the last 4 weeks, 9.1, 9.1, 15, 13, then 6.9. Yes, 6.9 isn't very good in any league, 14 league even. But the 9.1 is good in a 14-team league. The 13.8 and 15 are good in 10-team leagues, or actually even probably 16 leagues. 6, not 16, 16. So I would tend to lean on Madison. I think he's more of a safer choice than Bigsby because Bigsby will get 23, then he'll have 3. And then you got to worry if ETN plays and takes away carries from him. I know I'm advertising here. I'll do a little ad for Pepsi. I need a little caffeine right now. Sorry about that. Oh man, Saturday mornings. I got a bad habit in college where I started drinking soda in the morning. I'm not a coffee guy, and I don't drink soda Monday through Friday in the morning. But on Saturday mornings, well, I mean it's 11:40. It's really lunchtime, so it's not the morning. So I'm having a soda. All right, KB Poppy asks, start Chargers defense, Commanders defense, or Vikings defense? That's a great question. Well, let's do this. Let's look at fantasy real quick under defense. Wait, let's see. Before you go away, Chargers, Commanders. Oh, see, this stuff goes away. Chargers, Commanders, and Vikings. Yeah. Okay. Let me do that real quick. We'll get to that. I'm looking up the fantasy. I'm not looking up whether or not they're the best. When I say they're a good defense, like when I'm talking about a player, I'm looking at yards per game that they give up. It's a different statistic because, if you're a good fantasy defense, it doesn't necessarily mean you're good against the run or the pass. It might mean that you made some good interceptions, that you've recovered a fumble, or that you have 2 or 3 guys that can, do good jobs sacking the quarterback. So let's look up Los Angeles Angelinos. If I can spell, it's not Los Angeles. I lived there for 5 years. You think I would know better. Okay, the Chargers, not so great. Let's look up Washington. Washington's a little bit better. Now, the Vikings were very good. They were the top, and then Pittsburgh overtook them in fantasy, okay? So I'm probably going to lean towards Minnesota just because the other two I know are not very good. But I have to tell you that I was mad about what Minnesota did last week. They got 1 point. They play Indianapolis. Indianapolis is not a great team, but it does have Joe Flacco, who might be right now playing a little bit better than Richardson. So we got to take that into account. But, I mean, they got 16 points against the Jets. They got 8 points against Green Bay. They got 11 against Detroit. Then they only got 1 against the Rams. But you got to kind of figure that was because Puka and Cooper came back, and they probably didn't know how to handle either one of them. I see that TikTok is back to limiting my viewers. I have 9 viewers on right now. Great. Because they think one of my videos I posted this week I didn't make, which I did. They said it violated originality. I appealed it, but they're taking their sweet time getting back to me on the appeal. So the last 2 days, they've limited all my viewers on my live streams, which is fantastic. I love that. I still would go with Minnesota compared to these two. Let me just see. The Giant. Well, I mean hold on a second, because Washington. This is what I do as opposed to other TikTokers. Like ASOS, if you spam me, I don't answer those. So, like, maybe you haven't totally spammed me, but I see 3 or 4 of your questions up there. And maybe you get mad because I'm telling you not to spam me, but use common sense and decency, or follow me. If you want your questions read, follow me. Do that. It's free. It doesn't cost anything. If you gift me, you go to the top of the line. I'm not even asking for you to give me a gift. Just right now, we're caught up with all the gifts. Just follow me on TikTok. Subscribe to me on YouTube. Actually, I would go with Washington based on the matchup against the Giants. I don't think they have a great offense, number one. And number two, Washington's been putting up pretty good numbers. And with Flacco as a quarterback, I think Indianapolis might have a better offense, than you think, than you kind of, their stats kind of tell them. So yeah, I would lean towards Washington. All right. Now I'm going to look and see who has followed me. And ASOS, have you followed me? No, I don't think you followed me. If you follow me, I'll read your question. But right now, I'm going to go to somebody who's followed me. The prophet of time, Love or Cousins this week? Well, let's double check and make sure that Love... Let's make sure that Love's going to play. He's still questionable. Who is listed as questionable? Oh, he's expected to start. So Love will probably start. He's going up against Detroit. Detroit's overall defense. Let's just look at their overall. The Lions' overall defense is 20th, so there are no great shakes that way. Who did you say? Love or... No, it wasn't Love or Knicks. It was Love or... No, it wasn't Love or Knicks. No problem, KB Poppy. Who was it? It was... Oh, it was the Prophet guy. That's who I was looking at. Hold on. Love or Cousins? Let me look up Cousins real quick. Cousins plays Dallas. That's highly favorable. Against Tampa Bay, he had 28 points. Earlier against Tampa Bay, he had 35. The rest of the league, the rest of the NFL, he hasn't gotten over 17 points. He's torched Tampa Bay. Now, Dallas is a weaker team, but how do they do? The Lions are 20th. The Cowboys are 26. So it's a little bit, Cowboys are a little bit worse than the Lions defensively. I mean, I think a lot of people would say Cousins, but the only thing that worries me about Cousins is his 2 best weeks have been against Tampa Bay. His next best week has been 17.5 points against Philadelphia. Against New Orleans, he only had 8.5 points. Against Seattle, he only had 9 points. But you look at Love, now he had 6, but he got hurt last game. He had 18 against Houston, 26 against Arizona. Against the Rams, he had 16.9. This is going to be a tough one. Only because I think a lot of people would say Kirk Cousins going up against Dallas. Everybody knows Dallas. Match-wise, it favors Cousins going up. The thing that scares me about Cousins is his 2 best weeks have been against the same team. All right? And with at least Love, you have he's gotten 31 against Minnesota. He got 26 against Arizona. But outside of that, he's at 18.8, which is good in a 10-team league. So, but he had that 6.7. He did get hurt, though. I am actually leaning towards Love over Cousins, but if you like Love and you think, oh, he did well last week, you can put him in. But again, I know Dallas doesn't have, well, let's look up Seattle's defense. Seattle's overall defense is 22. The Cowboys are 26. Okay. Cousins, I'm just trying to get an apples to apples. Cousins against Seattle had 9.18 points. Okay. So I'm not sold that Kirk Cousins is going to be that great against Dallas. Now, I hope that he gets over 9 points, but I don't know that he'll get 28 points against Dallas. I don't have any reason to believe that because, like I said, his two best games have been against the same team. Love doesn't have that. Love throws the ball around a lot. He had 6.7. I would go with Love. Now, he had the injury, he had the groin, and that's why I believe he was taken out of the game, but I would go with Love. I think a lot of people would probably say Cousins, and it looks like, double check though tomorrow morning that Love does start, because if he doesn't, he's still listed as questionable, so he's not completely out of the woods. All right, let's see who we got here. Anybody actually follow? All right, Sick. I'm not going to say the rest because I just try to keep this on a G level. I'm sorry. And it's not even a bad word, guys. J.K. Dobbins or Kareem Hunt. Now, I'm leaning towards Kareem Hunt. Let me look up Dobbins real quick, see what he's been doing the last couple of weeks. The reason why I say Hunt is, yes, I believe last week maybe he got single digits. But if you look at Dobbins the last 4 weeks, 7, 17, 8, 14. With Hunt, you have a higher ceiling, meaning he's put up, maybe he had a bad week last week, but he's had overall a much better week than Dobbins. The last, actually, he's had 9.5, 18, 21, 12. They played Tampa Bay. There's no reason, when I say 12, he had 12.8. In a 10-team league, 12.8, you round up to 13. 13 or higher is always a good, KB Poppy, more GGs. All right, thank you. Quez the Scope, more roses. All right, I'll get to you guys in a second. I would go with Kareem Hunt just based on the fact that he's been putting up quality numbers for at least the last 3 weeks. While Dobbins has been a little bit more inconsistent against Arizona, he only had 8.1 points. And then, against Kansas City, it's hard to run on. He had 7.7, which I get. I'm not going to fault him for that. And luckily, Hunt doesn't have to play against the Chiefs, at least as of right now, unless they drop him when Pacheco comes back. But I would go with Hunt based on what I call momentum. But Hunt's kind of going like this, and Dobbins has like a little speed bump. And I'm afraid that Cleveland has a pretty good defense, believe it or not, and they're playing at Cleveland, and Jameis Winston and Tillman, and I expect Nick Chubb to have a good week, better, at least get to double digits. So, yeah, it might be tough for the Chargers this week. All right, let me see. I've been getting some love here. Quez and KB Poppy. Any new questions? Laporta or Pitts? Ask Quez the Scope God. All right. Is that Periscope? Is that is Periscope even around anymore, Quez? Is your reference to Periscope? Okay, but you're asking for Laporta or Pitts. I think Pitts, right now, Pitts is who I'm thinking, okay? But unlike the TikTok people, I'm not just giving you a name. I'm going to look at the numbers. I want to compare them. Yeah, Laporta 13, 3, 11, and 7. So 3 of the last 4 weeks, he's giving you at least 7 or more points. They go against Green Bay. Green Bay's, going to give them a dogfight. There's no doubt about that. Let's look at Pitts. He's been putting up very good numbers. Let me just see. He had 23, 10, 8, 12. I would go with Pitts based on the fact that they are playing Dallas, and I can't predict that he's going to get 23 points because that's absurd. But I think he can get to or right around 10 points, give or take a point. I know that's relatively vague, but you want he's going to get 7. I'm not going to guarantee it, but I'm 99.9% sure he's going to get you over 7 points in a 10-team league. I think he's going to be close to 10 points. He could be as much as 12 points. That's why I say Pitts. And based on the matchups, please don't spam me, user. Please. I know you're in all caps. I know you keep sending it. Okay, just please don't spam me. It gets annoying and it traps other people's questions, and it's just all you have to do is follow me. It's free. It's free. Now, if you don't want to follow me, that's fine. Then go to somebody else who will read your question. But if you're spamming me, I'm not reading it. I'm just not anymore. Like, I don't go to your work and bug you. All right. User followed me, so I will get to you. See, and then later on you can de-follow me. That's what a lot of people do. I know that, but right. Should I do Deontay and Dontavian Wicks for Chase Brown? Well, Wicks is okay. Wicks, what's with that voice? Okay, first of all, ETN, it might be good if you're trading ETN, user. If you're trading ETN, maybe not a bad thing. I think overall his value for fantasy has been going down week over week over week over week. So not a bad time to trade him. Dontavian Wicks has been putting up decent numbers for Green Bay because Love likes to pass to everybody, which isn't a knock against Love. It's bad for everybody who owns Jaden Reed. But Dontavian Wicks, well, last week he had 2 points, 12, 1.43. Yeah, I would do that deal because I think Dontavian Wicks is highly inconsistent. He did have 12 points, but I know Dobbs has been, maybe I'm thinking of Dobbs. Dobbs had some good weeks with Love and quarterback. Yeah, I would do that deal in a heartbeat. I think it's a good deal. I think Chase Brown is going to have more value. He's not killing it. He's not on fire. He's not fire, as my son likes to say, and all his buddies. But, he had 10 points, 6 points, 13, 14, 22. I think he's going to get back to 13, 14 points or better against Vegas. I think the matchup in the short term, well, probably takes 3 days, doesn't it? So you're not going to have him this weekend, are you? Let's see who he plays the rest of the year. Come on, what's going on here? Okay, so he's got Vegas, Baltimore. You can't run on Baltimore. Chargers, okay. Pittsburgh, really tough defense. Dallas, you can run on. Tennessee has a pretty good run defense. Cleveland, Denver. I mean, he doesn't have what I would say an easy schedule. Now, that's not to say that he's not going to have 13 points or an average of that for the rest of the season. But yeah, I would do that deal. I think as the offense gets better in Cincinnati, his numbers will go up. And I think Joe Burrow is making sure that, once Higgins gets back, that he'll return at the level he was at. Chase will, he's always at a high level. I think it'll increase Chase Brown's, Jamar Chase, that is, I'm talking about before. So yeah, I think it'll go up. I think ETN's value is going way down. So yeah, I would definitely do that trade. All right. I mean, it's relatively close. I mean, Chase Brown isn't setting the world on fire, but I think he has value in that offense. Okay, Gavin, who followed me, and that's why I'm reading his, says if Jordan Love plays, Love or Knicks or Goff in a league with passing TDs as 6. Yeah, this passing TDs for 4, that's the trend now. Sort of throws me off sometimes because years ago when I started doing fantasy, it was always worth 6. Now it's 4. Oh, I got to do a little puzzle. All right, did the puzzle. So wait, where are we at again? Who was I? And Quez the Scope God or KB.Poppy, if you're still around and you have more questions, just put some emojis or put them in all caps so I can see it. Who the heck was I looking up just now? Because I had to do that stupid puzzle that TikTok makes you do. My numbers are so completely not where I want them to be. because TikTok thinks I put up a video. Okay, Gavin, if Jordan Love plays, Love, Knicks, or golf. See, I get to talking and then I forget. Hey, Nathaniel's here making crazy emojis. But don't forget to keep hitting that like button, everybody. I know I got over 3,800 on TikTok. Let's get more on Facebook. And Terrell T, I'll get to you after I'm done with Gavin here on TikTok. Love or Knicks or golf? And it just jumped on me. Okay. Passing TDs as 6. So I want to take that into account. So we're looking at golf. We're looking at Knicks. I like Knicks a lot this week. You can pass on Baltimore. Baltimore's defense is not what you think it was. Okay, passing TDs. For whatever reason against New Orleans, Knicks had 0. But he's pretty much outside of that, averaged 2 passing yards the other 4 games. I just don't like that whole New Orleans statistic. Jared Goff in his last 4 games has actually averaged 2.5 passing TDs. Now, he only had 85 yards last week, but they routed them. So that's why he probably didn't pass. They ran the ball. He only had 85 yards passing, but he still had 3 passing touchdowns. So right now I'm looking at Goff actually over Knicks because of that average. And Love. Now Love is questionable. Last week with his injury, he had 0. He had 3, 4, 2, 7, 9 over 3. So he averages 3. Then the week before he had 4. Oh, God. Here's the thing. If Love plays, he averages at least 3 touchdowns a game. So that's going to give you, and here's his yardage, 389, 224, 258, 220, and then 196 when he got hurt. So not horrible. He had 389, which is great. Then he had 224, 258, 220, sort of middling, okay, average-ish kind of. So not going to kill you one way or the other. It's not like he's putting up 110 yards passing. Even when he got injured, it was 196. So I would actually lean towards Love because he's averaging over 3 touchdowns outside of the injury last week. 3 touchdowns a game. In the 4 games prior to last week, he has 4, 2, 4, 3. Neither one of these other quarterbacks have that. All right. I got to go over here. Terrell, Lockett or E. Moore? Lockett. Tyler Lockett, everybody. Is he the number 1 there now? With Metcalf out, let me just double check on the depth charts. It is... No, it's JSN. That's right. I didn't think it was Lockett. I was like, Lockett doesn't seem right. All right. I don't really love Lockett. Highly inconsistent. Moore. What's going on here? Elijah Moore? Let's see. Okay, Elijah Moore had 12.5 points and 7 before that. I would go with E. Moore. They play the Chargers. The Chargers are not a great defense. Well, they're number 8 overall. What's their passing defense? They're number 9 passing. Well, let me look at Lockett real quick. I don't love those numbers. Where did I do this? Elijah Moore. Oh, did I get rid of him? Let me look up Tyler Lockett. Tyler Lockett, 1-6-14-9. Tyler Lockett was removed from the injury report while playing week 9. Lockett limited session Wednesday. Lockett has a solid fantasy outlook versus the Rams with DK Metcalf out. The only thing about Lockett is he's highly inconsistent. The Rams passing defense is 16. What did I say? The Chargers were 9. So there is a difference there. Not huge, but there's a difference. So based on matchups, you'd want Tyler Lockett, but I think he's more inconsistent than Morn, at least over the last 2 weeks, which I know that's not a huge schedule. Chargers or Rams? Oh, this is, I guess if you want to take a gamble or a risk, you start Tyler Lockett. He could get you 14 points. He is the number 2 there now with DK Metcalf out right now. Elijah Moore has a harder, Chargers have a better defense. So that's the risk there. He's been better over the last 2 weeks, but before that, not so much. So Elijah Moore might be like a safe choice, but if you want to go based on matchups and the potential for a better week, I would go with Lockett. I know that doesn't. So if you're okay with taking a little risk, go with Lockett. If you want to maybe be a little more steady, I would go with Moore. Okay, Cartier. Do you go by Cartier or is it Cartier? Derrick Henry or St. Brown flex. Okay, what team do you have, dude? Like that you can put Derrick Henry in your flex? Like holy, like he's the best running back in the NFL. I mean, let me just look up matchups real quick. Again, I don't remember. Okay, oh well, Derrick Henry goes up against Denver, but let's look at Denver's rush defense. The Bronx. Where are we at? Come on, Broncos. Where are we at? Where are we at? Broncos are number 7, and you had St. Brown, right? Lion goes up against Green Bay. Green Bay's passing defense is 19. However, I don't know how you go against Derrick Henry. Didn't he did though, was it last week that he sort of had a down week for him? Yeah, he had 14 points, but he still got you at least 13. I don't know how you don't play Derrick Henry every week and just forget to change that. Oh, Steph Johnson Curry and EJ 1 of 1. You'll be next in line. I'm sorry that I missed your gifts. The lightning bolt, which I always love, EJ. And Steph, I will get to, let me go to Steph real quick because Steph beat EJ by probably a nanosecond, but let me see what Steph's question is and I'll get to that. Steph. Where's your question? Steph Johnson. Okay, I see EJ 1 of 1. D-Hop or Tillman this week? I would go Tillman all the way. D-Hop hasn't done anything, hasn't had that week. It's still a bit of an unknown. Tillman has had good weeks, and well, Cleveland plays the Chargers. That's a pretty good defense. So let me just hold on. D-Hop goes against Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay, not so much with their defense. The Buccaneers are 29 out of 32. The only thing about it is Hopkins just did not have a very good game. And Tillman is the number 1 option in Cleveland right now. He had 3.9 points. He was targeted 3 times. It was a short week. Well, I'm going to say to you what I've said to other people. If you want to go with EJ, a steady pick or a safer pick. The safer pick would be Tillman, because Tillman has done it, has had good weeks the last couple of weeks, is up against a better defense this week, but, had 14 and 25. Now, I'm not going to predict that he gets 25, but, possibly 12. You figure he was involved in 2 touchdowns last week. Now, he has no other touchdowns this year outside of last week, but he had 14 weeks before that. So the 2 weeks while Amari Cooper was out or traded to Buffalo, he's had 14 and 25 points. Jameis Winston, who was a quarterback last week when he got 25 points, let's say that he gets half. Maybe he gets 1 touchdown and 50, 60 yards rushing. He probably gets you 13 or 14 points. I'm talking about Tillman, that is. And so for that reason alone, that's why I would go with Tillman on that. With Hopkins, I just don't know. It's not like he had a really good game. It's not like I'm looking at 2 or 3 weeks and I can say, oh, well, he's been averaging this. Yes, he could have, a breakout game, or he could have, a game where he gets 35 points, but he's right in that, 8 to 12 range kind of thing. I can't say that right now. Now, last week, I thought he would have a better game. I thought Andy Reid would come out and have some crazy plays, and he would be all over the field making plays and all that good stuff, but he didn't. And for that reason, that's why I would go with Tillman in this regard. All right, Steph Johnson Curry. I'm not seeing a question. All right. So if you have a question, Steph Johnson Curry, just put it in all caps. I'm going to go to Parker now, who's gifted in the past. His Brian Robinson and Josh Downs for my A.J. Brown. Oh, good. Thank you for saying that. I have no RB2, and I have Hill and Olave. Okay, Olave's better with Derek Carr as the quarterback. Hill's fine. He had good points last week. The only thing that scares me about Miami is once you start getting the concussion, it's easier to get a concussion. And I'm always thinking Tua's like one big hit away from coming out of the game. But, okay, Hill and Olave, you probably like Hill. You like the upside that he probably brings. Brian Robinson Jr. has been putting up good numbers, though. So you're getting rid of him. Downs has been pretty good. His Brian Robinson and Josh Downs for my hold on a second. Yeah, Robinson with Washington. Let me just look him up real quick. He's been putting up good numbers. And I'm telling you, I get Brian Robinson and Brian Thomas Jr. confused. Last week against Chicago, which has a good defense, and it's, they won 18-15. But he's basically had, he had 10 points in week 3, but he basically has 13 points every week outside of 2 weeks. So he's very consistent. So I like that aspect. So then you're getting Downs. But you're filling a need. You need the running back. I totally get that. And Downs. Joe Flacco, the stick versus Minnesota. Downs can be confident, right? Okay, so it looks like with Flacco as the quarterback, it helps Downs. You may not get this trade for 3 days or whatever it is on ESPN, I think it is. But my guess is that it's a good trade, because you're able to put Robinson in as your running back, and that's what you need. So it fills a need, and you're getting a wide receiver who you still can confidently start, except when they play Miami and he gets 0.8 points. But other than that, he the last few games, 18, 11.4, so that's high average in a 10-team league for a wide receiver. Wide receivers and running backs, you want to have 13 points. Quarterbacks, 19 or higher. Defense and kickers, 10 or higher. And tight ends, 7 or higher. That's in a 10-team league. So you can adjust accordingly. It's about a point. Once you go up to 12, and then it's 2 points lower in a 14-team league. So yeah, I would make that trade. I think it's a good trade, and most importantly, it fills a need for you. All right, let's see. Where are we at? Am I all caught up on gifting? Yeah, YouTube, no new questions. Don't forget to hit that follow button on TikTok. Don't forget to hit that subscribe on YouTube or Twitch if you're watching. Also, hit the like button. I see more likes coming up on TikTok. That's great. Hit the like button if you're on YouTube. Follow button gets you follow button or previous gifters are up. We're all through the gifters right now, unless Steph Curry has a question or Quez, the scope god. Okay. CA1D Colden, I guess. I like how you did that. That your name is pretty creative. Start Ridley or Stevenson and Love or Baker. All right, this is a two-parter. It's going to take a little bit of time. Everybody just hunker in for a second. Ridley or Stevenson. I got to compare the two. I'm always misremembering what Stevenson has done, or Love or Baker. And then I get to talking and I look at YouTube and then I look at my numbers going down and I get annoyed at TikTok because they say I violated originality in one of my videos, but it's clearly me in the video, voicing the video. I edited the video. They just had these silly, it's because it's a horizontal video, not a vertical one. So they think I probably stole it from YouTube or something. It's probably just a computer that goes, oh, horizontal video, let's flag it. And they do. And then they take 3 days still on the appeal, which totally annoys me. So my numbers are way down. I think I got over 30 for about a nanosecond. Okay, so Love goes against Detroit. The Lions have a pretty good defense. That's 20th overall. What's their passing defense? Lions passing defense. You think I would know this? I looked this up it's 27. Wow. Okay, the Chiefs, because I know that's who Baker Mayfield is up against. The Chiefs are 17. Mayfield's been way more consistent than Love, passing-wise. Where are we at here? Love, Mayfield. Let me look up Mayfield. I'm going bottom up, so just hunker in, be patient. I will get to more questions. Okay, so here's the thing with Love. You want your quarterback in a 10-team league to have 19 or more points. In 8 weeks, he's done that 7 of 8 weeks. He had 9.52 against Denver in week 3. He had 19.8 against Detroit, okay? So he's all the other weeks he's been in the 20s. Last week, 24, 29, 28. Baker Mayfield can throw against the Chiefs. You can throw against the Chiefs, okay? They're really good at stopping the run. They're not as good. They're good, but not as good stopping the pass. And my point with that is this. I would still go with Baker because he's consistently getting over 20 points week in and week out. And even if he drops, let's say 4 points, he has 20 points, and that puts you in over the top there. Like you're 20 points, and in a 10-team league, that gives you a chance to win week in and week out if you can get 20 points. So that's why I would go with Mayfield. Now, are the Chiefs going to put pressure? Yes, but Baker Mayfield also can use his legs. Like he also runs. Maybe not like, Daniels or somebody else like that, but he does use his legs to get out of tight situations. In some ways, he's kind of a quasi Mahomes. And he also, has in the last 4 weeks, 3, 4, 3, 3 touchdown passes. So he's throwing the ball for TDs. And that's why I would go with Mayfield. Love has been a little bit more inconsistent. Well, he got hurt. He got 6. He had 18, 26, 16.9. The 16.9 was against the Rams before they had Puka and all that. And they go up against Detroit, which is The pass defense isn't as good, but the overall defense, let me look at overall defense. The Lions over, the Chiefs are 5. Oh, the Lions are where? Lions are 20. Well, I guess I'd look at it like this. Maybe Love, as long as he plays, because he's still questionable, maybe Love is the safer pick. Okay? Maybe Mayfield, based on the matchup, is a riskier pick because he's going up against a much better defense. I totally understand that. So maybe if you're risk averse, you can put Love in. Love's been a little bit more inconsistent. Now, he did get hurt, but, he got hurt last week and was taken out. But he had 31, 16.9, 26, 18.8. You round up, that's 19. So you could go with Love if I think he's a safer pick. I think Baker Mayfield has a 99.9% chance of probably getting you 19 or over points right now. But a lot of that comes because I have Baker on like 2 of my 3 teams, and he puts up 20 points every week, and I've gotten used to that. So there is a little bias in what I'm saying, and I'm trying to be as objective as I can. I do think Love is probably your safer bet based on the matchup. Based on the matchup, the defensive matchup. All right, I hope I answered that one. That was not an easy one because I do like what Baker Mayfield's been doing. I think he's number 1 or number 2 in passing yards this year. And I do like what he's doing, but I think he does have a tall test coming up on Monday night. All right, I'm just checking to see who's gifted or followed. That was Colden, right? Oh, wait a minute. Then I have Ridley and Stevenson. Let me look them up. Sorry, there was a 2-parter here. He packed a lot of question in and probably didn't realize that I take forever to answer. So I'm sorry about that, everybody. I know I probably lost a bunch of people since I've been talking to Colden's or whoever it was questions here. So Ramondre, in my mind, is inconsistent. He had 22 points last week, 3.5 before that. He didn't play. 17, 6, 0.3, 16, 20. He started the season really good. They go up against Tennessee at Tennessee, who actually has a pretty good team, believe it or not, defensively. Now, not fantasy points wise, but defensively, they're, well, you can see it on YouTube, but Tennessee's number 1 total defense. They give up the fewest amount of yards per game. Now, they have given up 22 touchdowns, which is probably on the higher side. Well, the Panthers have given up 32, the Jags 26. So maybe it's a little bit more middle. The Bears have only given up 11 touchdowns on defense, Steelers 12, Chargers just 9. So that's like going to battle, like fisticuffs with the Chargers. Those aren't high-scoring games unless the special teams do well. So what I'm saying is Titans are, defensively a good matchup. New England, not so much of a good matchup. The Patriots, where are we at here? The Patriots are 23rd. So I already like the matchup with Ridley with the Patriots over, well, they're playing each other. No. Yeah, Tennessee plays New England. Yeah. Except you have a wide receiver versus a running back, and I always lean towards running backs because it's easier to get them the ball. Oh, and Calvin Ridley, I think, has only put up good points with Mason Rudolph as the quarterback. So let me see who's playing quarterback in Tennessee. See if I have an update on that. Yeah, Will Levis is questionable. Let's see if they give us an update. Coach Kennedy said Friday that Levis will be listed as questionable for Sunday's game. Okay, if Levis starts, okay, here we go. If Levis starts, you can't play Ridley. If Rudolph starts for Tennessee, you can play Ridley. They have a synergy. So if that's the case, then you play Stevenson if Levis is the quarterback for Tennessee. I hope I'm making myself clear. If Tennessee's quarterback is Levis, you don't play Ridley. If it's Rudolph, you play Ridley. If it's, like I said, if it's Levis, then you start Stevenson. So that's what makes up the choice, who the quarterback is for Tennessee. So Stevenson only has a chance if Levis is the quarterback for Tennessee. All right, let's see. Been on an hour and a half. I can kind of feel it now. I'm at that malaise. Let's see. Who's followed me? Who's given in the past? Colden, thank you for answering. Yes, no problem. I enjoyed it. That was a great question, by the way. Let's see. Who's followed? Okay, user 364. Which two should I start at running back? Hubbard or Brian Robinson Jr. or Connor? Now, Hubbard, I'm worried about because Bryce Young is the quarterback. And if you look at Hubbard's stats when Bryce Young's the quarterback, like last week and like the first few weeks of the season, he doesn't put up numbers. So because of that, I would almost say Robinson and Connor, that decision's already made by the quarterback in Carolina, who will be Bryce Young, okay? But let me just double check on Connor and see who they're going up against, because that's what makes my TikTok football channel different is I do look at the numbers. Yeah, I think Connor goes up against Chicago. Chicago is very, very tough. Let's look at their rush defense. Maybe it's okay. The Bears rush defense is, more middling than I had thought. It's 14. They give up 120 yards rushing. So Connor could have a good game or a decent game. He could put up, I don't know, close to 100 points, maybe one touchdown. So he's going to get you right around that 13 mark, all right? Or he should. And then the other guy was Brian Robinson Jr. Brian Robinson Jr. And I see TikTok is still limiting my viewers. I love TikTok. They said I violated the original content something or another because I guess I use horizontal videos that are over a minute, and I guess they think I'm stealing them from like YouTube or some other place. I'm in the video. I voiced the video. I created the video. I edited the video, but I appealed it, but they're literally taking days. It's been 3 days and they haven't made up their mind. So I'm in the penalty box, if you will, from TikTok. So it's been quite annoying. Don't forget to hit those likes and hit those follows, everybody. All right. Brian Robinson, 8, 13, 13, 18. He had 8 against Chicago. He did have 65 yards, but he didn't score a touchdown. The one thing about Robinson is he tends to score touchdowns. Up until this last game, he's only missed one other game where he didn't have a touchdown, but he did have 133 yards rushing. Now, he might have gotten hurt. Brian Robinson Jr. is actually still questionable with a hamstring injury. And obviously, if you're a running back, that's the last thing you want, that or a groin injury. So if active, Robinson will push for an RB2 ranking versus the Giants. Austin Eckler would be in line for a strong workload. So you have to make sure Brian Robinson plays. And if he can't play, you're going to have to start Hubbard and Connor. Connor's definitely in. Tomorrow morning, you got to check and see if Robinson will play. If he doesn't play, by default, you have to put Hubbard in. And I don't think Hubbard's going to do very well because Bryce Young is the quarterback, but hopefully I'm way wrong about that. But there, on a statistical data, there's nothing that tells me that while Young is the quarterback, Hubbard will have what I consider a good game. I don't think he'll get 13 points. Okay. I hate to say it. I really do. I mean, especially about NFL players, they're some of the best athletes in the world. as opposed to baseball players, I guess. But it just, I hate to say, Bryce Young, maybe in a couple games, maybe next year, but right now he's just not the guy, and Andy Dalton in that silly accident with his family, car accident, luckily, or hopefully, I guess the only injury was his sprained thumb, but he's out again this week, so that doesn't help Carolina at all. I still need my caffeine. I'm sorry about that. I know I shouldn't drink soda. I know, I get it, but that's not going to change. I need some Vice. All right, who has followed me? Hey, Jordan's here. There's a lot of Jordans on this. I want to say, hey, Jordan, it's Bo Nix versus Mahomes. Now, Mahomes did have his first game where he got in a 10-team league where he got like 19 points. So I thought that was good last week. That was the first time that he got the 19 points all year. He's been below that all year. Okay. Nix, there's a matchup issue there. I like Nix. He's very steady. Oh, but you can pass against Baltimore. Okay, let me look Nix up because Mahomes plays Tampa Bay. You can pass against Tampa Bay. The Ravens have a very bad pass defense. The Ravens' pass defense is 32 out of 32 teams. They give up 291 yards on average every game in passing. Okay. So neither one has an impossible assignment. However, I do think that based on the entire year of data that you can see, that Mahomes is not scoring fantasy points at levels he did in the past. And it's not that he's, a shadow of himself. He hasn't lost a step, none of the silliness. They're just a more efficient offense. I mean, literally, guys, from week 4 to week 7, he had a bye in there. He only scored 14 points. Now, give or take 0.4, 0.06, but he only scored 14 points. He scored 19 only against a bad Las Vegas team. All right. But Kansas City is a defensive team. They're not an offensive team. They go up against Tampa Bay. Let's just look at passing defense. Buccaneers, 29th passing defense. The Raiders are, let's see, where are the Raiders? Raiders are 7. Okay. Well, that adds a twist to what I was going to say. I would still go with Knicks because, well, they're in Baltimore, though. God bless America. Tampa Bay has to play in the friendly confines of Arrowhead Stadium on Monday night. That's not imposing at all. Guys have been drinking all day. I mean, when I say all day, like, 8 or 9 in the morning, and it's, 7 at night for them, almost 12 hours later. I still want to say Knicks because 3 of the last 4 weeks, he's gone over 20 points. And you can throw against Baltimore. Let me look at touchdown passes as a different. Yeah, the thing with Mahomes is he doesn't even throw a lot of touchdown passes anymore. He doesn't even run. He ran 2 weeks ago for a touchdown. And he does, 2 weeks ago, he also had 2 interceptions. He's had an interception in every game he's played this year. Nix has not. He started the season with 2 both weeks, but he hasn't had one since week 6. I would go with Nix just based on sort of the momentum. He's had 20 points, and you want in a 10-team league your quarterback to have 19 or higher week in and week out. That helps you win, and Nix has done that, and neither one of them play out of the world kind of. Well, definitely Bo Nix doesn't. So the matchup really favors Bo Nix because Baltimore is rated dead last in passing yards per game. Now, how many touchdowns do they give up? They give up 17 touchdowns, so that's 2 a game. So, yeah, I would go with Bo Nix. The numbers are there. It's weird to say anybody over Mahomes, isn't it? Like, I never thought I would say that, but here I am. So do I play Bucky, Irving, Bigsby, or ETN? I asked it last time, but I couldn't stay. Oh, that's what was going on. All right, Andrew, my buddy. Bucky, Bigsby, ETN. Okay, so there's some injuries to some of those players. Let me just see what we're doing here. I mean, none of them are like, oh my God, like they're all sort of, going like this. Don't forget to hit that follow button on TikTok, subscribe on YouTube, please, please, please. Hit that like button on both platforms. I'm at a whopping 10 people on TikTok right now. I love how TikTok has put me in the penalty box for a video that I made, but they say that there's originality issues. I made it, I voiced it, I edited it, I appealed it, but they're just taking their sweet time with the appeal. Bucky Irving in the last, let's say, 5 weeks, 12, 4, 17, 15, 11, but he is questionable. Irving missed practice Thursday and Friday as he continues to manage the toes. The person for Saturday's session bodes well for his availability for Monday night's game. Okay, so Bucky Irving was present for the game or for a walkthrough or practice or whatever it was today. So that bodes well for him on Monday. So it looks like he will be available. And he hasn't done bad. 11.9 is still in that average range for a 10-team league. You want 13 or higher, you round up, that's 12. That's high average. And then 15 and then 17. So not a bad 3 weeks there. Then he had 4.6. Okay, let's look at Travis Etienne. And then we'll look at, that's Irving. And then we'll look at Bigsby. Etienne's been out a lot, I know. So let's look him up real quick. The last 3 games he's played, he had minus 0.1, 9, 6, 10. I think Bigsby still takes away. Let's see. His list is questionable. Etienne and Tank. Tank and Bigsby are both questionable. They would cut into each other's fantasy carries, which I already knew. So you'll have to see if either one plays or is either announced to play tomorrow. Then let me look up Bigsby. Am I picking 1 or 2? I can't remember now. I should have wrote that down. If I'm picking 1, I'm going with Bucky. If I'm picking 2, I have to look up Bigsby. I don't like the fact that ETN and Bigsby cut into each other so much. Now, Bucky, I know, they have a 3-headed monster at running back in Tampa Bay, but Bucky gets the bulk of the carries, and I think there might be injuries with them. Yep. Bigsby had 9.6, 23.8, 2, 25. Let's just see. And 2 touchdowns during ETN's 2 games. Absent Sunday's game. Oh, God. Well, if you have to pick one, here's the problem with Bigsby and ETN. Their game is the 4 o'clock Eastern game. So by then you will have had to maybe make some, like, they may both be out, or you might put one in and then the game starts and it's the other one. It's what I'm saying is there's games that go on 3 hours before their game, so it's going to really throw you off. And because of that, I'm leaning towards Bucky because it's an easier decision. So I would go with Bucky Irving because he's been more consistent. I would definitely not go with ETN. Okay. If anything, it would be down between Bigsby and Bucky. But because of the time difference, of the games, you have to maybe make a decision. I would go with Bucky and just make it easy on yourself. All right. Oh, just one of them. Thank you, Andrew, for saying that. Okay. So, yeah, I would go with Bucky. All right, everybody. Yes, ETN was a letdown. Andrew's in a 12-man. Okay, so if you start Bucky, it's not a bad thing. A 12-man, you figure, 11 points isn't bad, and he can probably get you that or close every week, so that's good. Amizi probably, 713. Kincaid or Andrews? Off the top of my head, I'm thinking Andrews. He's had a bunch of good weeks lately, playing a lot better than he was at the beginning of the season. I mean, last 4 weeks, 7.5, 14, 18, 12. He's gotten you over that 7-point hurdle that you want. You want 7 or more in a 10-team league. In a 12-team league, you want 6 or more. In a 14-team league, you want 5 or more from your tight end to win. Okay, it's sort of this formula that, over the years I'm not going to say that I created, because that would make it seem like I'm full of myself, but it's my goals on my team. I want my tight end to at least get, in a 10-team league, 7 points or higher week in and week out. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a running back or a wide receiver that gets me 13 points or more week in and week out. I want a quarterback that gets me 19 points week in, week out. I want a kicker and a defense that get me 10 points. That's how I pick my players. Consistency means a lot. Consistency means a lot. If you go 25 points and then 2 points and then 18 points and then 4 points, you're going to drive me crazy, okay? Because it's not every other week that the week that you play him, he's going to get the 3 points. I'm trying not to slurp this soda. It's bad enough I'm drinking soda in front of all of you. I apologize for that. Saturday mornings, I don't know what it is. I feel like I'm in college, and when I was in college, I was, it's not really morning. It just feels like it. It's 12:40 Central Time, so it is the afternoon. So I guess it's okay to have a soda. All right, Mark Andrews. I mean, come on. Who was the other guy? Andrews. Kincaid. Sorry, I'm chatty right now. I apologize. What I try to do on my TikToks and YouTube is give you the reason why. A lot of times, a lot of guys on TikTok or YouTube, they see Kincaid or Andrews, they'll say Andrews. Okay, I'm probably going to go with Andrews at the end of the day, because I'm going to go with Andrews because Kincaid has had 4, 8, 6, 11. That's Kincaid. Andrews has had much better games, and yes, he goes up against Denver, but as I say, the tight end is always the quarterback's friend. Denver has a very good defense. They're number 4. Kincaid goes up again. Nope, wrong thing. Miami. And the Dolphins are number 4. So ironically, or not ironically, the teams that Kincaid and Andrews go up against both average the same amount of, that's passing yards. Well, I guess that matters. Never mind. What am I saying? They're both ranked number 4. There's a tie. They both average 176.3 yards passing per game. Now the Broncos have given up 8 touchdowns passing touchdowns, and the Dolphins just 5. So maybe you factor that in. But I would go with Andrews because over the last 4 weeks, he's put up better numbers. He's more consistent, if you will, because 4 of 4 weeks he's gotten over 7 points. And technically speaking, Kincaid, let's just round up from 6, but he's done it 3 of the 4 weeks, but his total is much lower than Andrews. And so for that reason alone is why I would go with Andrews. All right, I've been doing this about an hour 50. We're at 10 people. Woo! TikTok is put me in the penalty box for a video. I know if you've been listening to me for a while, you keep hearing that. Okay, here's one out of the blue. Now this guy, I don't know if you follow me or not, but you haven't spammed me, so that's good. So if you don't spam me, I oftentimes will read your question. This one's out of the blue. Derrick Henry for Bijan. Okay, Obviously, it's a running back for a running back. It's a straight up trade. Now, between you and me, let me just look this up because I don't know why you'd want to get rid of Henry. Now, maybe you're getting Henry. I don't know why someone would want to get. I mean, Henry only had 14 points last week. But again, in a 10-team league, which most of you are in, you want 13 or more points from your running back or wide receiver or flex, if you will, every week. Okay. He has gotten that every week except week 1 when they admittedly didn't play him enough. But you could also say that the Chiefs are very stout against the run. I mean, that is a defensive truth. Now let's look up Bijan. Bijan has had a tremendous 3 weeks, 24, 21, 20. All right. They played Dallas. There's good reason to believe that he can probably get 20 or more again, or right around there, 18 or higher this week against Dallas. All right. So in the short term, there's that. But if you're in ESPN leagues, I think it takes you 3 days for a trade to go through. I'm not sure on Yahoo. I kind of forget. I'm in Yahoo leagues, but I haven't traded anybody. I'm not really big on trading because it's always like the other guy always wants way too much, and I get real frustrated. Okay, so Henry goes against Denver, but we don't really care about that. I always look at trends. And in the last 4 weeks, Henry has had 16, 25, 24, 14. Really good numbers. Bijan has had 9, 24, 21, 20. So he's on a roll on 20s, okay? The last 3 weeks, Bijan has done better than Derrick Henry. Maybe not by a lot. 25, 49, 63, 65. Yeah, by 2 points in the last 3 weeks. So maybe a point a week. But I just, here's my question, and I need to ask it more, all right? How does this make your team better? To make a trade, you want to fill a need. Maybe you don't have a second good wide receiver or running back, or maybe you don't have any running backs, but you have Justin Jefferson and you want to trade Justin Jefferson for 2 running backs. It fills a need. Maybe somebody got hurt. Maybe you want to upgrade a position. Maybe you have a bunch of guys on your bench. You can trade 2 wide receivers and get Justin Jefferson, but those 2 wide receivers that you're sending away are on your bench. Who was this again? So I just I know this sounds silly, but you're trading just to trade. And I don't know that I would get rid of Derrick Henry. I do believe that Baltimore is kind of going through an offensive issue right now, but I think with Lamar Jackson, they'll find it. The one thing to remember, and I know this has nothing to do with offense, but indirectly it does, their defense kind of stinks, especially against the pass. So there's a lot of things they're probably working out. But Atlanta, let's just look at the rest of the year. Atlanta goes Dallas, New Orleans, Denver, Chargers, Minnesota, Las Vegas, Giants, Washington. So not like a cakewalk. They have to play Denver. They have to play Minnesota. All right. Let's look at Baltimore. Okay, they got Denver, Cincy, Pittsburgh, Chargers, Giants, So they play Pittsburgh twice, and they have Denver this weekend. So Pittsburgh right now, from a fantasy perspective, not necessarily a numbers perspective, is the number 1 defense. But Pittsburgh's overall defense is 9, and they have to play them twice. But they are running backs, and I think running backs can put up decent numbers. Even, they can, if they score a touchdown and run 60 yards, I think they give you 13 points. So I just don't know how it makes your team better. And for that reason alone, I don't advocate you doing it. I mean, unless there's some report out that Derrick Henry is injured, or he's lost a step, or he's going to have to sit out, or he's done for the season, Robinson in Atlanta is probably going to go through a little bit of a slide. They're not a great team. I mean, what are they, like 4-3 or maybe 5-3? They play in a relatively weak division. I just don't know that it makes you better, and that's the question when it's a tight question like this one. I always have to ask, like, how does this make you better? Is it just that you want this player, and you're mad at the other player, or what is it exactly? I don't think it's a great trade because I think it's just swapping, and I don't know that it really makes your team better. Now, if you could swap somebody and get, Derrick Henry for Nick Chubb, yeah, do that in a heartbeat. It makes your team better. You have Derrick Henry now. But when you're trading superstars like this, I mean, unless you see something I don't, and you could. I mean, you guys are smart. Probably in some ways, things that I haven't even thought about, but I just don't think it makes your team that much better. All right, I wasted a lot of time on that, but I just wanted to let everybody know in my head what I was thinking. Nico for Kamara with playoff schedules. I understand what you're saying there. That's good. Well, it sounds like you need a wide receiver for a running back, Nolan. I'm just picking up random people now, so I'll get to James. I'll get to you next because I know you followed and you're being nice and kind, and I appreciate that. Yeah, I would do that deal with Nico if you don't need a running back. Like if you're getting Nico, well, it doesn't really matter. If you're getting Kamara or Nico, you're either getting a running back because you need one, or you're getting a wide receiver because you need one. And you're saying for the playoff schedules, I totally get it. If that's what you have to fill. The one thing obviously about it is when you look at Kamara's numbers, there's a couple things on this. When you look at Kamara's numbers, you almost have to take out that week 2 when he got like 43 points and look at what he averages outside of that. That's kind of an outlier number. You can't guarantee that. Yes, for the season, it gives him great numbers, but what is he really doing week in and week out? I know that people say, oh, you can't do that. But he's probably not going to put up 43 points again. So what does he really average outside of that? I want to get to the real number, okay? And Nico, my only caveat there is you want to make sure that he comes back. I mean, you hope, if you're getting him, obviously, that he comes back to the level that he was at. He was number 1 in the NFL for yards receiving up until his injury. So, all right, we're going to keep rocking and rolling here. Don't forget to hit that like button. We have 5,300 likes, which is nuts. We've had 2,000 people view this, but right now we only have 11 online. I am in TikTok purgatory or penalty box for this stupid video that they say that I copied off of somebody. James, Chase Brown or James Conner? Well, let's look that up. Cincinnati plays the Raiders, and the Cardinals play. Oh, the Cardinals play the Bears. The Bears. So let's see. What are the Bears' run defense? Bears run defense is 14. Connor, I just got to write this down because I can't remember diddly. Connor plays. Okay, Raiders rush defense is number 18, and the Bears, what did I just say? I just said it. It's 14. So not too big of a difference there, okay? The one thing I'll say is, although Connor plays a little bit better defense, he has been more consistent. And if MHJ can have a good game, Why am I not showing up here anymore? What happened? That's weird. I like Connor. I like Connor because Brown has been, did I say inconsistent? Maybe I don't mean inconsistent. He just hasn't put up very good numbers. Like he's put up okay numbers. You know, he's 10, 6, 13, 14, 22. Okay, 22 is good. But like the last 4 weeks, 14, 13, 6, 10. I don't love that. And it's not like his rushing attempts have dropped off. 2 weeks ago, he had 15, which is tied for the most. He had 15 carries and he scored 22 points in week 4, but in week 7, he had 6. Then last week, he had 12 rushing yards, 32 total yards, so under 3 yards a carry. And he had 1 touchdown, and he only managed 10.4 points. Let me look up Connor real quick, just to really do an apples to apples, or just look that up. 13, 20. Ooh. He had 20 carries on 53 yards. Then he had 19 carries on 101 yards. I would go with James Conner only because their defenses are relatively close. I do think that the Bears have a very good overall, let me just check that. Let's look at overall defense. I know it's on YouTube. I forgot to put it on the bottom on TikTok. The Bears versus the Raiders. Raiders overall defense is 11. So that's a little surprising. Bears, they're tied for 11th. So I would go with Connor just because he's been a little bit more consistent and he has a higher ceiling. And I think he's steadier. Brown might be a little bit of a risk. He's a little bit of an unknown. He hasn't had that great of weeks, you know, the last closer weeks, 10 and 6, as opposed to Connor, who had 13 and 16 over the last 2 weeks. So I would go with Connor because of that. Yeah. All right. We're over 2 hours tonight. We have today, this morning, this afternoon, whatever you want to call it. We have a whole whopping 5 people online. Sal's around. Andy followed me. Thank you, Sal. He says, start one, Drake, May, Dak, Stafford. Yeah, and Puka might not play. Yeah, that's great, isn't it? It's fantastic. I love that. Hopefully he does play. Oh, I forgot about that. I got to make that change in my team that has Stafford. Okay. Is Drake May a given too, though? I thought he might be injured. Maybe it's time for me to... Nope, he's fine. Oy. Against New Jersey, 11.52 points. Jacksonville, 20. Houston, 21. But we all know that Houston may not be the team that we think they are. They have a lot of injuries. I know that doesn't necessarily affect their defense. They have a lot of injuries on offense. Oh, Drake May, what have you done? He did rush for 46 yards and got a touchdown. That's relatively impressive. Let's see who I am. Dak, May, Dak, and Stafford. Okay, so I don't love May. Let's look at Dak right now. Like May doesn't scream, oh yeah, you can play him, no problem. Dak has been highly inconsistent. He goes against Atlanta. You can throw on Atlanta. I don't care what anybody says. The Falcons are 18 out of 32 pass defense. Dak got 18 points against Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh is a very good defense. But then against, the Giants, he had 16. Against Cleveland, 11. New Orleans, 14. Everybody says his schedule is weak. Philadelphia, Tampa Bay, Carolina, Cincinnati, New York, Washington, Houston, Philly. He plays Philly twice. But those interdivisional matchups, I don't always love. And the reason why is they know each other so well, They know each other so well, it's almost not fair. And like the next time, although they played him in Las Vegas, the next time the Chiefs play the Raiders, the Raiders, heck, who knows? They could win. They won last year against them. All right. Dak's a little inconsistent. I know people love Dak, but he's only put up 19 or more points, which is what you want in a 10-team league. I always have to have that qualifier one time this season. One time. He had 29 points against Baltimore, but he's only done it once. And your last guy was Stafford, who had a big game last game. But then with the uncertainty with Puka, he had 25 points, 279 yards, 4 touchdowns. I mean, he only had 3 touchdowns passing. He had 4 touchdowns passing. He only had 3 touchdowns passing all year before that. I mean, that basically last game made his season. It's almost like when Kirk Cousins plays Tampa Bay, it's the only time he scores over 20 points. He's played him twice. He has like 24 points, 25 points, and 35 points. Puka had 14.6, 106 yards, no touchdowns. You got to figure, though, okay, what does it say? Puka is expected to play. Okay, Puka is expected to play. So I would go with Stafford. It says it right up front. 9:47 a.m., so that's this morning, because it doesn't have it like Friday in front of it. Puka Nacua is expected to play in the Rams' Week 9 matchup with the Seahawks, according to Diana Rossini of The Athletic. So I would go with Stafford. I just think the other two, I think Dak is highly inconsistent. I know that I got into some little debate on YouTube earlier in the week with some guy that was going to trade somebody and have Dak the rest of the year. And I said, I don't know that I would do that. I wouldn't. It was Josh Allen. He was going to give up Josh Allen for somebody. And I'm like, I don't know that I would give up Josh Allen because I think he's going to have a much better season than Dak is. He's going to put up a lot more points. And he's like, well, you're the only one that says that. And I'm like, okay, I'm pretty sure I'm right about that, though. Like Dak is not doing anything to tell me that he's going to put up over 20 points consistently. I think Josh Allen, every week he plays, outside of there was a 3-week stretch there where things were not going right for him, okay? But moving forward, if everybody sort of stays healthy and they don't lose anybody massively or for a long time, I think Josh Allen is a lock to go 20 yards or 20 points every game. Yeah, so I would start Stafford. Let me just look up Josh Allen real quick and see what he averages now. We don't have a lot of people on TikTok because I'm in the penalty box. Because I posted a video that they don't think's original. What are you talking about? I made the video. My voice, my head is in the video. My face, my voice. I edited the thing. It's because it's a horizontal video, and they think I probably stole it from YouTube. Yeah, but Josh Allen, the last 3 weeks, 24, 21, 20. Okay, Dak Prescott's the last 3 weeks, 18, 5, 15. It's not close. Even if you take out the 5, let's say we go 4 weeks back and take out the 5. It's 16, 18, 15 he's in the teens. For Josh Allen, let's go 4 weeks back. He had 14, 24, 21, 20. It's not close. Josh Allen has him by probably an average of 2 to 3 points every single week. Anyway, that's just my soapbox. Okay, Swamp, blah, 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 McJones. I don't know. Maybe I'm a total dork, but I try to not cuss on these things. I know that I cuss in real life, but I had that radio mentality. I grew up listening to the radio. My mom always had it on. And I don't know, maybe it's the 7 dirty words that Carlin talked about that I just won't say. Who should take for Gibbs? Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, or CeeDee Lamb? Who should take for Gibbs? Like, who should you trade for Gibbs? Well, I mean, you can try any of those guys. The one thing about it is with a trade, you get one of two kinds of people. You either get the really greedy person that wants like to really win. Oh, Swamp gave me a bear. Thank you much for the high bear. Thank you. And I'm just noticing that I've been doing this for over 2 hours, and I think I'm at that point. So I apologize, Swamp, if you've been waiting a while. Okay, I really do. I know that you've gifted in the past, and you've been a very loyal viewer or fan or supporter, and I really do appreciate that. I started my day off annoyed. I didn't sleep really well because TikTok has put me in this penalty box, and it's taken 3 days for them to look at my appeal and overturn their violation of originality, whatever, for my video, which I obviously made. I mean, you can look at all my videos on my channel. They're all made by me. You can tell. I mean, they're not, they're good, but they're not that good. No one did it professionally. All right. So there's one of two kinds of people, sort of, okay? Well, there's three technically. There's the level-headed person that looks for real value like me, but nobody wants to trade with that guy. And then there's the idiot who doesn't know and makes really lopsided trades that go in favor of the person who's trading to them. And then there's the other person who wants everything to go their way in the trade. So for Gibbs, you could try to get Jefferson, you could try to get Chase, you could try to get Lamb. My guess is, truthfully, although CD Lamb had a good week last week, if CD Lamb lays an egg this week, it might be good to say Gibbs for CD because he might be annoyed with CD. CD's not having a CD Lamb kind of season. The Cowboys aren't. Dak is not. Okay, so it's across the board. It's not just one player. It's not like he's lost a step or he got old or he's playing through an injury. He's just, CD's kind of like this, but I think he put up 22 points last week, I want to say. I'll look it up because I said it and I don't want to be proven wrong. That's my whole thing, but I looked it up 2 hours ago, I think. I just can't remember anything. Because the problem with me is I always look at this. Yeah, he had 33 points last week. But then the week before that, he had 12.6, then 8.9, then 20, then 6, then 17, then 11. So you want your wide receivers and running backs at 13 or over. See, this is why I have to write things down because I get all lost in my own head. But he's been wildly inconsistent. 33 points, 12.6. I'm not rounding up on that one to 13. I'm saying that's 12. Okay. It's not that close. It's close, but not that close. Then 8, then 20. So 2 of the last 4 games, he's gotten over 13. He got close. So let's just say it's 2.5. Okay. Then he had 8.9 against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's a good defense. Now against Baltimore, he had 6.7. Here's the thing with Baltimore. You can pass against Baltimore. The other thing that's interesting is his numbers in the last 2 weeks, although he had 20 points in week 4, but in week 6 and week 8, he's had way more targets than he's had the rest of the season. So obviously, Dak knows that he's not going to have a chance to win if he doesn't get Lamb the ball. What I'm saying is you might be able to trade Gibbs if Lamb doesn't have a good game. I don't think this is a straight up trade. I think people look at Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, and some people might still look at Lamb this way as like, there's someone you slot in for the entire year. They're a superstar, and you better bring me a superstar ransom for these players. And a straight up trade with Gibbs isn't going to do it. I would do a straight up trade with, like they're thinking. I would do a straight up trade if it was Derrick Henry or maybe Bijan Robinson, but I wouldn't do it for Jahmyr Gibbs. That's sort of my guess on that one. I don't know. So you might have to focus in on someone that's a little dim-witted, doesn't keep up with this stuff, and doesn't know, just looks at the names or doesn't care or needs a running back. Look for the teams that need a running back and that have good wide receivers, and maybe they have good wide receivers on their bench. So if they got rid of CeeDee Lamb or Jamar Chase, that they could slot somebody else in and they would have good points. All right. Well, we have 10 people on TikTok. We've had 2,100 overall on TikTok, so that's fantastic. Dylan, let me get to you. Is this the same Dylan? Dylan, you follow me, right? This is so weird. Why don't they have a little badge? I should just do like people that follow me, but I do like some of the free rando ones. Will you think the Titans-Pats game will be close? Yeah, I think the Titans-Pats game could be close. I do. I mean, they're both kind of bad teams, although the Titans have a much better defense. They really do. Do you think the Titans-Pats game will be Ramon will be Ramondre seems too good on close games mostly. So you're saying, and Ethan says Mooney or Worthy. I can tell you off the top of my head, I would probably go Mooney, but let me double check on that, Ethan. Okay, so for the Titans-Pats game with Ramondre, obviously you have Stevenson. I don't love Stevenson, by the way. I think he started the season very good, and people he got on everybody's radar. First 2 weeks, he went 20, then he had 16, then he had 0.3, 6, 17. He didn't play, or yeah, I guess he didn't get in the game at all then. 3.5, then he had 22. He's a little inconsistent. He had 20 rushes. His points last week were basically all predicated on the fact that he scored 2 touchdowns. Okay. He got probably, I think in almost every league, a rushing touchdown is 6 points. The passing touchdowns are the ones that in most leagues now are 4. So he got 12 points on touchdowns alone. He only had 48 yards rushing. When he got 17 points in week 5, he had 1 rushing touchdown, but he got 89 yards rushing. The first 2 weeks, he had 120 yards rushing, 1 touchdown, 81 yards rushing, 1 touchdown. Then it drops off. No TDs, 23. No TDs, 43. 1 TD, 89. No TDs, 18. 2 TDs, 48. What I'm saying is, even his yards per game, and against Jacksonville, they lost 32-16 against Jacksonville. He had 7 rushes on 18. He had 18 yards on 7 rushes, so he had under 3 yards a rush. And then last week, when he had 22 points on the 2 touchdowns, he had 48 yards rushing on 20 attempts. I mean, what is that? 2 yards per carry, a little over, 2.5, 2 whatever. I don't know why I can't figure that out. My brain is just like in a fog right now. But I mean, it's like nothing. 50 would be 2.5, so it's under 2.5 yards per carry. He did have 17 yards receiving, and he had a 2-point conversion. He scored 14 of his 22 points on 2 touchdowns and a 2-point conversion. So he only really had 8 points. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not bullish on Stevenson because of that. He's highly inconsistent. If you take away sort of the fun of all the points he scored last week, I just don't think he gets to 22 points this week. I think, if he gets to 10, that's a good number. Tennessee's a good defense, and they're playing in Tennessee. Now, maybe he'll have 13, and that'll be good, or maybe he'll come out of the backfield and catch a touchdown or something like that. There's always that sort of anomaly, but I don't know that this is a fantastic matchup for the Patriots. All right, everybody. I am going to sign off. I might be back on later tonight. Maybe I'll be out of the penalty box for TikTok by then, and I'll be able to get a real number of viewers at one time. But anyway, thank you all for watching on TikTok and YouTube. I appreciate it. And I will be back later tonight. Thanks, guys.